Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf, Talmud Daf Chavtes. We begin on the second line off the top of the Amid, right in the middle of the Mishnah. So we had the Kohen climb up to the Mizbeach, he shoveled out some ashes, brought them down, placed them on the floor beside the Mizbeach where it was miraculously swallowed into the ground. Okay, what's the next event in the schedule here? The Kohanim would go arrange the Ma'aracha, the firewood arrangement on the Mizbeach in anticipation of the Karbanos, notably the first carbon, the Karban Tavid, followed by the rest of the Karbanos. Says the Mishnah on the second line. They began Malin to bring up, to transport B'gzira, the logs. Nice long logs, L'sadar Samaracha, to set up the firewood arrangement on the Mizbeach. V'chi kol ha'etzim ksher in the Ma'aracha. So are all types of wood okay for the Ma'aracha? It's sort of a question-answer format. Is that so? Hey, yeah, technically they're all okay. Kol ha'etzim are in fact suitable ksher in the Ma'aracha. Chutz, except the Mefarish explains that sometimes kol can mean, roif, for the most part. All types of woods were acceptable, except chutz mishal gefen v'shal zayis, they would not use wood off a vine or of an olive tree. The Gemara will provide two reasons for this. Some say because you don't want to destroy these nice fruit trees which provided sustenance for the residents of Eretz Yisrael. Another reason given in the Gemara is because of the ksharim. There was an abundance of these little knots, imperfections found in the wood, which would be a magnet for moisture and make it more difficult for burning. So they would leave out these two types, but everything else is technically okay, but they had their favorites. Be'eloi regilin. The following woods were typically used. B'mrubiyah shel teina, long logs of teina, of fig wood, shel egois, of walnut trees, shel eitz shemen, a tree which was called eitz shemen, perhaps it had like a oiliness in it, and these were great pieces of wood which were perfect for burning on the Mizbeach. See, there is a Ma'aracha. Gedolos, so he set up the grand Ma'aracha, which was meant for the Karban Tamid. Mizracha, it was on the east side of the Mizbeach. V'chazisa Mizracha, and its window, its opening. They had a little opening so the wind would come and conflagrate the fire. It was coming from the east to the eastern entry to the Beis HaMikdash. Some say the point was to have a little access for spindles and starter woods, and that was also facing the east. Mizrach, Rashi Gezira, and the tips, the ends of the logs, Haprimin, all the way on the inside, would reach all the way to the middle of the Mizbeach, that the pile of ashes. They left some gaps between the logs to give access for the little spindles, starter wood to get the logs going. Shematzisim as alisa misham, through which they would light the little spindles to get the whole thing going. Okay, so we're completed with that. We completed that first Ma'aracha. Now we're over to the second Ma'aracha, which was meant to supply coals for the Ketores. In the Heichal, they would take some coals off the external Mizbeach, transport it into the Heichal, put it on the golden Mizbeach, upon which they would burn the Ketores. How do they go about doing that? So once again, they go back to the wood supply chamber, pick out some nice fig tree wood. Yafim, nice, and had to be unblemished. How do you get it blemished by wood? Well, if it's wormy, it's not suitable for the Ma'aracha. Now, see, there's a Ma'aracha Shniya. You set up the second pile, the Ketores. Supply the coals for the Ketores. Now, where exactly in the Mizbeach was it situated? Kedeged Ma'aravis Droimis was at the southwestern corner, but offset from that corner to the right 4 amis. So the Mepharshim explained that this Mishnah holds that the Mizbeach was pretty much to the right of the Azara. Now these halacha that the coals for the Ketores had to be taken from a location on the Mizbeach which was opposite, lined up with the entry to the Heichal. How do you achieve that? So if I'm standing at the east, facing the Mizbeach, beyond which we have the Heichal, and the Mizbeach is shifted and located at the sort of right side of the Azara, so it starts at the halfway mark over to the right, technically, that farthermost left section of the Mizbeach can still be lined up with the Heichel entry. The Heichel was wide. So the first 5 Amma, the extreme left, 5 Ammas of the Mizbeach was still lined up with the right portion of the Heichel entry. Now, could I put the Maracha there? Technically I want to, but I can't, because you have to offset, you have to account for the Mizbeach started on the ground, or you had a Yisoid, the first ledge there, the base. Then you travel up, you have the Yisoid, you have the next walkway, the ledge, you go up to the top, you have the kronos, the corners, then you have another walkway. So the first 4 Ammas were accounted for. They were used. You couldn't put a fire on there. The first opportunity is Amma number 5, and you're still okay. Because as we said, as long as you're within 5 Ammas of the most left point of the Mizbeach, you're still aligned with the entry to the Heichel. And that's exactly where they placed this Maruch, at Amma number 5. Moshech, right? So Moshech and Akeren Klap Eitzav and Abba Amis, it was offset from the Saf on the left, the extreme left of the Mizbeach, offset to the right by 4 Amis, and that's where they placed the Maruch. How much wood was there? They had to estimate enough to produce 5 sa'ah of coals, which were needed for the Ketores B'Omed, with an estimation, with an anticipated output of 5 se'in gechalim. Ubeshabbos, they needed 8. B'Omed 8 se'in gechalim. Why? Why more coals? They had another. There was another role for these the coals, that you would place the spoons of the lavoina, of the incense that were taken from the lechem aponim on Shabbos and placed on the Mizbeach HaChitzon on this very arrangement. Hence, a larger fire to begin with. Now, the Kohanim noticed some limbs of the karbanos or fats which were not fully consumed throughout the night, which were placed alongside the Mizbeach, as we said yesterday. Now they put it back onto the fire. They lit the 2 fire wood arrangements. Beish, Yardu, they came off the Mizbeach, they came to Lishkas Agazis, the chamber where they would do the pious system, the lottery system, to allot the various roles to the various Kohanim for the upcoming Avodah. Amarava, although the Mishnah speaks about that grand pile, a tapuach of ashes, middle of Mizbeach, sometimes being so big as having 300 kur, that's a huge amount. That's a guzma. It's an exaggerated expression. It's just highlighting the grandness of that tapuach, but 300 kur is a little bit of exaggeration, just to bring out the point. We find another example where the Chacham spoke in a bit of embellished manners. Hishkus atamid, because we have a Mishnah where they gave the korban tam, the animal, to drink with a golden kli. That's also a marava. It's just a guzma. They use the regular kli, but it's just an enhanced way of speaking. Amar Ariyami. We find this type of expression in the Torah and the Nevi'im and the Chachamim, the way they speak. It's just sometimes meant to highlight the point, and it's expressed in a bit of an exaggerated way. Amar B'Yami, Dibra Torah Lashon Havai, we find Lashon Havai, exaggerated expressions in Torah. Likewise in Nevi'im, likewise in the words of Chacham, Dibra Nevi'im Lashon Havai, and Dibra Chacham Lashon Havai. For example, Dibra Torah Lashon Havai, we find by the Meraglim, the Chsiv Arim G'dolos. They're reporting these huge cities, Ubetzura is fortified, Bashamayim, up in the sky. Since when are cities up in the sky? It's an expression, right? Bashamayim, you think it's up in the sky, Sakadaidach. Ela Guzma, it's an expression. Dibra Chacham Lashon Havai, we find the same in the Chachamim's discussions. Hadamar, Tapuach, right? That was the pile of ash that we just spoke about. That's the second example. Dibru Nevi'im Lashon Havai. Where do we find it in the Nevi'im's word? T'chsiv v'chal am ha'aretz mechalim v'chalilim v'atiboka ha'aretz l'koilam. So the crowd was celebrating after they anointed Shlomo HaMelech as a king, and the Aretz split because of the immense, sound. And it's just an expression to highlight the greatness of the event and the grand musical scene that they experienced. Amar B'yanai Bar Nachmani Amar Shmuel B'shloisha Mekaymes Dibra Chacham Lashon Havai. We find Chacham spoke that way 3 times. Ve'eluhein, which are the 3? Tapuach, the pile of ashes, Geffen, Upareches, coming up soon. Why did he print out these 3? Lafukim in the Rava, as opposed to Rava, who said that regarding the golden, cup, that was Havai. No, he disagrees with that. It's not Hishkas Talmud Zav, Amar Rava Guzma. Rava says the golden case is a Guzma. Kamashmon, he was trying to tell us no. Hani, in only these 3 are Guzma. Hasam, loy, but that example is actually accurate. They would use a golden vessel to give the animal to drink. Ein aniyus mokum ashiris. It's a place of abundance, of bracha, and they go all out with full elegance. Ein aniyus. There's no poverty in a place of wealth. Tapuach hadamoron. Okay, so the examples that he cited were the tapuach. That's the case now. Mishnah with the ashes. Geffen. What's that? The vine. The sanya. Geffen. Zoiv hoysa. Imedes hapesach heichel. They had this golden vine propped up at the entry to the Heichel, Mudla Gabiklun Sois, supported by these cedar poles of Chol Mishim. It's not of Allah. If a person wants to donate some gold, a leaf-shaped piece of gold, a garger, or a little grape-shaped gold, a eshkol, or a cluster of grapes made of gold, maybe v'telu, but that was a way of donating. They would hang it on the donor grapevine. Amar Balazar Tzaddik. Sometimes it got so full. Masai, there was a story of V'nimnu Oleh Sholosh Meis Kahanim Lefnais. They needed to count up 300 Kahanim to transport it, to go, take it out. That's how heavy it was. And that's an exaggeration. Just means to say it was nice and heavy. Paroiches, what's the exaggerated expression there? The Snan of Shimon Leimer, Bishim or Bishim. Askan. Paroiches. What did the paroiches look like? Avya Tefach, the curtain. In the Beis HaMikdash, for instance, the ones by the between the Heichel and Kodesh HaKodashim, they had 2 there. It was a tefach thick. Al shivim u'shnaim nimenei reges. It was woven by using this grand loom, which had 72 channels. Val kol nima v'nima esrim b'abah chutin. Every one of these rings, these channels, right, where the thread would go through, that thread was comprised of 24 plies. Arka Arboim Amma, the parachas is 40 amma wide, Rach Besrim Amma, 20 ammas, 40 amma long, Rach Besrim Amma, 20 ammas wide, Shmoyne Mishtayim Riboy Nasis. Some explain it relates to the cost of 82 times 10,000 coins. Ushtayim Oisim Chashan Mashana, they would produce twice 2 a year. Some explain because of the double parachas between the Kodesh and Kodesh HaKodashim. V'shloish me'os kahanim atvilin oisa, they had to be toilet before they used it, and it required 300 kahanim. That's how big and heavy it was. And this is describing its grandness, but a bit of an embellishment. Okay, so we had several examples of Guzma and Havai. We find it in the Torah, Naviim, and Lashon Chacham. As long as it's understood that you're not telling stories, you're not misleading, it's just a way of bringing out a point, it's sound and appropriate. Chutz mishal zayis mishal gefen. Hey chelu malam b'ksirin l'satz haracha. They started, arranging the wood. What kind of wood, right? Chutz mishal zayis mishal gefen. Everything's okay except for zayis and gefen. Why? What's wrong with these? Hani my taima. Why? Rav Papa Amar, I'll tell you why. Because they had these knots full of moisture. Makes it hard to get going. Rav Acha Bar Yaakov Amar Mishum Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. We don't want destruction of Eretz Yisrael, the fruit trees therein, so they kept away from the zayis and the gefen. Meisvei comes a kash. Al eitz mashar leish. Pasuk says, use wood which is susceptible to fire, which is really flammable. Eitzim on it, tucham leis eish. Wood which is meant for fire, which will burn up easily. Umayniu, for example, dukre shefut. His long, poles, these nice looking, good, pieces of wood. The loikatri, which have no knots. It has no knots, which travel into the into the wood, meaning it's not a knot that goes all the way through. A surface knot would be okay, but as long as it doesn't get into the interior. Continues the brayse of Chichola Eitzim Ksherim Maracha. So you mean every kind of wood could be used? Hey, yeah, technically yes. Kol Eitzim Ksherim, except Chutzmin Zayis V'Gefen, except for the olive and the vine. Aval Ba'elohi Regilim. But typically they would use the following types. B'mur B'yo Shal Te'ena, long logs of the Te'ena tree. V'Shal Egoit, V'Shal Eitz Shemen. Okay. Rabbi Lezer Moisef Afshal Maish. He says on the do not use list we have more. Not only the Zayis V'Gefen, also not the tree called the Mayish, Afshal Mayish, Shal Alim, Shal Degel, or palm, Shal Charab, or carob, Shal Shikma, or the Sigma. End of quote. Now let's analyze this price in light of the explanations we gave before. Why we disallowed the Zayis and the Gefen. We had the not reason, we had the Yishuv Eretz Yisrael reason. Now, Bishleim Madam Mishon the Katri. So according to our puppet, the issue is the knots and the moisture found within those two types of trees, the Zayis and the Gefen. If that's the hesitation, that will very well provide explanation for the two opinions in this brayse. Why Rabbi Lezer adds more to that do not use list, because they also exhibit some sort of knots, perhaps not as as pronounced, they're more surface. So that's the machlokes, whether that's a concern. Rabbi Lezer is more machmer. He says even though the knot doesn't, reach into the interior, given the katam broi, since the knots are found on the outside, that's also a reason to keep away. We don't use those types. Marsava Tanakama says no. Given the katam gavai, as long as the knots do not permeate the actual log, even though the mebroi kater they're not from the outside, it's okay to use. It doesn't really get in the way. That's a perfect explanation if the issue are knots. But according to the other opinion, it's a question of destruction in Eretz Yisrael. That's why we keep away from destroying these, beautiful fruit trees. So then, Rabbi Lezer would add more, right? He says, Ma'ish, Alin, all those ish, and Dekel, palm trees on his do not use list. Tanakama is okay with cutting down palm trees? What about destruction of Eretz Yisrael? It's also a fruit producer. Prominent fruit, right? One of the Shivas Aminim. And Dekel miles be'misham yishav Eretz Yisrael. Cutting down a palm tree has no issue of destroying Eretz Yisrael. You know what? He would respond to you like this. Well, Tamech, according to what you're asking, what about our Mishnah, which allows cutting down the fig trees? I mean, it's the same issue. Why doesn't the fig tree have a question of Yishav Eretz Yisrael? Elamai, so you have to come up with a solution to that, and this will provide a solution for us too. Elamai slachamem, so you have to say, B'tein levi de pera. The Mishnah is referring to a fig tree which doesn't really produce fruit. So there's no issue of destroying, sustenance and livelihood. And that's why it's allowed. So that same answer can be said over here as well. Dekal nami, the reason why Tanakama allows cutting down the palm is talking about a type of palm which is not producing fruit. It's an old palm tree or whatever. Dekal nami, lo yavid pera. Says the Gemara, Mika te'ena lo yavid pera. Is there such a phenomenon of a fig tree without, fruit producing abilities? Yeah. Here goes. Because Rechaba, as Rechaba tells us, Amar Bachaba. So he's actually advising a person who wants to produce for himself nice big beams for construction. So what you do is you sort of sterilize a tree, disable it from producing fruit, in which case all its energy is now directed into producing these nice Damar Rechaba. What does one do to get himself these heavyweight beams? Maisi. He gets a hold of the saplings of a tree that produces white figs, which are poor quality figs, and you slowly disable the fruit producing abilities, in which case you get yourself nice beams. Maisi teine chivursa, these white figs. So you rub the branches with a rope from a palm tree, so you sort of wear it down and you disable its production abilities. The sarach le bizra, in which case the seed and the reproductive, elements within the wood will get worn out, will get drawn onto the rope, sarach le bizra. The seed will get drawn onto the sarach le, onto the rope. The covering, what do you bury it? What do you plant it? In a very moist area, otherwise it's going to dry up because you've taken off all its bark. Hechad amasek yama sirtim, where the river, where the water comes and sort of flows over and floods, meaning it's a very moist area. And this new tree will produce beautiful beams without fruit. We have figless fruit tree. Kaira avda will make your beams, but peirli avda without fruit. But last brechem enayu, and they'll be just so big and heavyweight. These beams, the three of them, put them on a bridge, they'll crack the bridge. The bridge won't tolerate them because they're so big and heavy. See, there's a maracha gedola. So we spoke about the first maracha, which was to the east side of the mizbeach, and the chazisa, the windows, the opening, was also facing east. My timing, why do they make this little opening? Rav Huna, Rav Chizda, two pshatim. Chadam, one explained, was that the wind will blow in and aerate it and conflagrate the fire. To allow them some access to push in the spindles and the starter woods to get the logs on fire. Meisvei becomes a kasha. They already had space for that between the logs. Meisvei, Reva Chayu ben Bahen, Ben Agzir, they left some space between the logs. Shahayu, Matzisin, Asalisim Hashem. That's where they would light the spindles. Amar Loch, the answer is Mekaymis Avdi. They had different places, different access points. In order to get the whole maracha burning quickly. Okay, so we had the Turim Hadesh, that was the first part of the Mishnah. Then they set up the Ma'arachas, first the Ma'aracha G'dola for the Karbanat that was on the Mizrach side of the Mizbeach, the Grand Ma'aracha. And then on the other side, on the Ma'arav side, near the corner, they had the one for the Ketores, for the Bezichin. We spoke about the types of wood that they would use. They would keep away from the woods which were not conductive for fire burning. There's another issue of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. Ideally, they would take the te'ena, egos, shemen, which burnt well and produced a good ma'aracha. We had examples of Lashon Havai, where some exaggerated expressions were used to, bring out a message, bring out a point. And we spoke about the gaps in the ma'aracha to allow for the alisa, for the spindles, to get it going. Hadran lachru echav. All the best to you, and atzlach.